So do not be discouraged, and do not have the mindset that scholarships are only for extremely brilliant people. You are also brilliant and you can also achieve that. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica Adeosi, and I want to specifically thank you all for the engagement you had on my last post, where I spoke about myself, my channel, and I answered few questions about PTDF. In that same video, I promised that my next video was going to be me sharing my PTDF story, and this is me coming to share. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to my channel at this point, please subscribe to my channel. I know you are going to love all of my content because they are all only going to be informative and educative content. So please be sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I put up a video. Also, kindly comment, share, like, and just engage with me in any way that you can. And you can follow me on Instagram as well if you want to feel more closer to me. Okay, I'm going to put up my Instagram handle somewhere on the screen. So yeah, let's go into today's video. Welcome again. In today's video, I'll be sharing my PTDF story, how it all started, and I'll take you through up to application, interview, and then how I eventually got the scholarship. Let's start from the very beginning. I have been applying for scholarships way before now. I really can't put a date to it, but specifically in 2021, that was when my PTDF story started. It was a period where I was applying for the Shivning Scholarship. Shivning Scholarship is usually between August and November, early November. So that was the time where I was applying for that, and then it was going to be my third time of applying. So trust me, I was kind of frustrated. Why? Because the effort I put into applying for that scholarship can really be a lot. For those of you that have applied for the Shivning Scholarship before, you know that there are 4 different essays, 500 words that you have to put together. And now telling you that I'm applying for my third time shows that I've written those essays 3 different times, and the first 2 attempts I did not get it. That's why I will be applying the third time. So at that point, I told myself that I was not going to apply to any scholarship. I was just going to take a break, and I was being serious because I was drained and I was frustrated to an extent. I was like, that's it. I completed Shivning application in November. I had decided that I was not going to be applying for any scholarship. That was because that was how I felt at that time. But in December, one of my very close mentors sent me 2 different links. One was PTDF and one was one other British scholarship. When I saw that message, I was like, I already made up my mind that this application process, I don't think I want to go through it again, because what's the guarantee that I'm going to get a scholarship? I believed 2 things. One, those that get scholarships are extremely brilliant, extremely intelligent. Like, I don't think I can measure up to that level. Or 2, they are most probably connected, or maybe someone helps them during the application. I just believe that ordinarily I wouldn't be able to get scholarship. So I guess that explains why I was really disturbed, frustrated, drained, and I decided that I wasn't going to waste any more time applying. But I'm this kind of person that even when I feel demotivated, which I do a whole lot of times, I try to find encouragement somehow. Okay, so that was what happened. When I got the link, I just went through it and said, okay, let me see the eligibility criteria and see if I meet up with it, and then we can go from there. So I checked the first one. I saw that it was for people within the age of 35 and above, and then they had some other requirements I did not meet, so I had to scrap that out. You remember that I mentioned that 2 links were sent to me. So the second one, which is PTDF, I opened this and I saw that, okay, most of the criteria, I meet them. The criteria were between the lines of, I'll try to remember, you must not have anything less than a 2-1 or a 2-2 with relevant industry experience, or you must be a computer literate, or you must have NYC, you must have up to 5 O-level credits. So those were the eligibility criteria, and I met all of it apart from one, and that one was a letter from my local government, a letter of identification from my local government. So I didn't have that letter, but it was one of the um requirements. So when I went through it, I was like, okay, at least I meet over 95% of this criteria. So it was already on my mind, registered on my mind, that if at all I change my mind, I should be applying. Like, I mean, except I do not change my mind, right? So I meet the criteria. All I have to do is to just get that letter and continue. Yeah, one of the criteria also was to write a personal statement, okay, not more than 500 words, talking about why you want the scholarship, how it's relevant in the industry and all. And I think PTDF is really, really particular about how the course you are going to do or the experiences you have is relevant to your nation, or how it's going to be, how you are going to impute it, because it was one of the questions that I got for my interview. So after that, I just stalled because I didn't have the time to go to get that letter. So I stalled, and then after a while, I picked it up and then I started filling the application. Bear in mind that the application was going to last for 6 weeks from the date of announcement. The date of announcement was around December, late December. So it was going to end on January 28th, 2022. Okay, so I picked up the application. I wasn't doing so much on it. I was just like maybe uploading. I wasn't even uploading documents. I was just like checking what I need. There was a point where they were going to ask for me to pick 3 schools, 3 courses. I just took note of it and I was mentally like noting them down, and then, you know, consciously coming up with my answers so that when I'm ready to fill the form eventually, it'll be easy for me to do that. Okay, so I started filling the application in January, sometime in January. I really can't remember, but I still needed to find the time to go and get my local government certificate. So what I did was I tried to squeeze out time. Initially, I thought that I would have to go to my state, but I eventually asked questions and I found out that I can do it in the lasting office in Lagos. So my state has a lasting office in Lagos. That's another thing that you have to confirm. So you might probably not have to go to your state, like you might probably not have to travel down, so just find out. And so that was what I did. I went to the lasting office and then I got the certificate the same day. Even if I had to pay, I paid and I got the certificate. That means that I had everything for the application. So another thing that really took my time was the personal statement. I had to work on the personal statement. I wanted it to really capture all of my intentions. I wanted it to capture everything that will make, you know, the board convinced that I was to be given the scholarship. So the truth is, because of work and my busy schedule, I was not very consistent with applying. So I applied for a long time. Like I just kept going back, coming in. But eventually I submitted on the last day. In fact, I exceeded the time a little bit. So I submitted 12, 16 or 20 thereabouts. It was not exactly on that day, and it was because I was working on my personal statement and then I was trying to put together all of my documents. I waited to the last minute. I don't want you to do that. Please don't do that. So please, if the application link is out already, start applying for this year. If you want to do it on time, get everything you need to get in time. Don't be like me, because I waited to the last minute. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't put in all your best into it. Okay, please do, but at least try to start early, try to get all you need in time, and then apply early. So I applied, I submitted, and I got a mail immediately telling me that I applied. Congratulations, they'll get back to me soon. That was in January, I think January 29th. And then I had to wait. I waited, nothing in February, nothing in March, nothing in April. And then in May, I remember I think I was coming back from work that day and I got a mail saying that I have been selected for the interview and I have to come in for the interview. Funny enough, there is no interview location in Lagos where I am located. I remember that during the application as well, with the mindset that I might not probably be called for interview because scholarship is for outstanding people. Remember, scholarship is for people with connection. That was my mindset. That was what I was applying with. So I probably not need to leave Lagos eventually because they might not call me. Okay, guys, do not have that mindset. If you have that mindset, you have to correct it. Okay, so as long as you're ready to put in the work, let me tell you. And another thing I'll chip in here now is if you've been applying and you keep getting rejections, just make sure that in the next year you are not the same person. What I mean is that you've improved in your experiences. Do not let the next year meet you with the same experiences that you had in the last year. You've improved in your experiences, you've improved in everything, so that when you're writing your personal statement or when you're putting in your experiences, you are a better person. You're in a more better position to be awarded the scholarship. Okay, so do not be discouraged and do not have the mindset that it's scholarships are only for extremely brilliant people. You are also brilliant and you can also achieve that. So I'll continue from there. The interview would have to either be done in the location you selected for during your application or online. And online, there is a caveat that if you are going to apply online and you have issues with your network or anything, that's going to be the end. They're not going to be responsible for anything that network or power supply or whatever it is shows you. So I just decided that I was going to travel. There were 3 locations during the application process. That's Ibadan, Abuja, and one other, I think Port Harcourt. I'm not very sure, but I chose Ibadan because it's very close to me, right? It's the closest of all the locations. So I was to travel to Ibadan and it was a working day. Another level of discouragement. Like I was discouraged because I didn't know how to, leave work. And remember that I still have this mindset of what if I'm not awarded a scholarship? I don't want to waste my time and energy and transport and all. But at that point, I just spoke to 1 or 2 people about it, and I called someone, one of my sisters and her husband in the UK who knows about PTDF. I called them and I was like, hey, do you know anything about the PTDF scholarship? Do you advise me to go for the interview? Because right now I'm really not in the space to leave work and to travel again. And they're like, I should go for it. They know about it. They know someone that's gotten it. That I should just give it my best. I should try. And that was the motivation I needed. The next day I set off, but with company. I was lucky to get company because like it was just obvious that I was weak, I was drained, and I needed support. So I went to Ibadan for my interview. When I got there, I got there and a lot, not I won't say a lot, but a number of people were already there. So I just had to wait till it was my turn. I was a little bit nervous, but I just waited. Before I left for the interview, I listened to the podcast of someone that also got the scholarship but in a previous year, and she mentioned that you should take all relevant documents that you need. If you have an award in being the best student in a particular subject and is relevant to that scholarship, take it along. Don't just say you have it, don't just write it down. Take an evidence. If you know that, okay, in my school I functioned as I was the best student in this particular course, or if you know that you have experience in a particular field, if you have maybe a certificate or something like that, just make sure that you have evidence. So I took all my awards and certificates. Funny enough, they didn't even check it, so that was very specific to her. That was what worked for her during her own time, but they didn't ask me because there'll be different panels. So yeah, just learn from different people's experiences. That's another thing I'll chip in. If you know few people that got that scholarship, just make sure that you reach out to them before the interview. Also, so when it was time for me, I went in and I noticed that there were 2 panels. So I just waited for the one that would be empty so that I can move there. So when I got there, I sat down. I was waiting for them. They had to pull up my details because they had a laptop they were looking at. The first question they asked me was for me to tell them about me and how my course of study relates to the oil and gas industry. Okay, so I had to just broaden it up. I had to say finance is a course that is needed everywhere, that there is no organization that can survive without a finance team and all. So I said a lot of things about how finance is needed in every organization and definitely is needed in oil and gas. And the second question they asked me was, um, how do I plan to use the knowledge I would get from my study in my home country, right? And that how am I going to apply that knowledge? And I said things in the line of, because I really can't remember the exact things I said, but I'm just going to paraphrase. I said things in the line of Nigeria being blessed with a lot of resources, and all they need is someone that can, or someone with the knowledge that will be able to use those resources to favor the country and all and all. So those were the two major questions they asked me. After that, they just kept looking at my um they kept looking at my profile, because I think that profile was from what I had put up during my application. So you must make sure that your application is strong. Make sure that you upload good things, documents, well structured personal statements. And then another thing I'd say is let your profile be rich. So like what I mentioned earlier, make sure that your experiences you keep adding to them, and then you can put up for volunteer experiences. You can also take up projects that you know that you'll be able to talk about during your applications. If you know that you're someone that loves to apply for scholarships, that will also help. One more thing I like to mention is your confidence. The interview is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes. What are you going to say within that time that will convince them? You have to be confident, and you have to make sure that your profile is well packaged. So I'm not saying you should bluff. I'm not saying because Veronica advised you that your profile has to impress the panel, you now put in things that are not true. I mentioned earlier that they will require evidence, to be honest. So you can't just say I have this certificate and you don't have it. Okay, you have to back it up with evidence. So don't just bluff. That's why I mentioned earlier that you have to keep building your experiences. If year on year you are not getting invited for an interview, a scholarship interview, or you are not being called for or invited that you got a scholarship, that means you should keep improving yourself year after year, so that you can really have new things to put in your application. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So be confident. Make sure that even when you have all of these experiences, within those 2 minutes, whatever question that they're asking you, you are able to answer confidently. I will get to the courses soon. I'll get to the courses that I applied for. You can relate it to how I answered the question, and then everything will make sense. Let's get back to the point where they were now checking my profile on the system. They were checking my profile on the system, and they were like, okay, you graduated with a first class. I said yes. The man was just looking at me. They were about, okay, I forgot to mention, they were about 5 on that panel. There were 2 different panels in the room. One was at one side of the corner, another one was another side of the corner. So I went to one of them, and there were about 5 on each panel. So they said, you graduated with the first class. I said yes. And they said, oh, you have ICANN as well. And then he said, I'm very impressed. That was what he said. And every other person took turns in explaining to me why they were very impressed, and that they're going to get back to me. Good luck to me, that I've gotten my ICANN, and then I want to go and study finance related courses. And that was the end of the interview, to be honest. After the questions, after I answered, and funny enough, when I was answering the question, there was a point where he said, good, you've answered my question, so don't bother explaining further. So they just wanted to hear something. They wanted to hear. I think I was trying to relate how I was going to bring in finance into the oil and gas industry, into the energy industry, and my explanation was around how finance is versatile and finance is needed everywhere. So there's nowhere finance cannot function, and a finance student, someone with a master's in finance, would definitely thrive or be needed in the energy and oil and gas industry. So when I answered like that, it was like, oh, that's fine, don't go for that, you answered my question. And that was how it went, and I was excused. Okay, so what is particular about my own story is that I uploaded things that I wanted them to see. In my personal statement, I talked about my book. In my personal statement, I talked about how I have experiences in an oil and gas company, because that time I was working in an oil and gas company. Then I talked about how I moved from working in a bank to working in an agricultural sector, and then I moved to an oil and gas industry. I explained the interconnectivity between my role in all of those industries and how it is helping me to function in my current role. I'm talking about in my personal statement now. So I made sure that I packaged my application well, and I updated them. You remember that one of the panelists was asking me that you graduated with a first class, and that's because I uploaded my certificate, which is actually a requirement. And then it was like, wow, you've completed your ICANN. That's because I uploaded my ICANN certificate. So everything relevant is what you should upload. Make sure you upload everything relevant, and then make sure that your application is solid, and that works. That works. I mentioned the interview I listened to that the lady needed to have gone with were physical copies of the evidence. So they asked her, but me, they didn't ask me. So what you can do is to learn from different people. It might not even be for PTDF scholarship, it might be for another scholarship. Learn from different people that have gone through that process, and pick something from their story that would benefit you. Okay, it might not necessarily be what you would be asked, but at least in case you are asked, you're already prepared for that side. So that was how the interview went. And when I left the room for the interview, I told you that I had company. I was telling him that they told me that they were impressed, but I don't want to put my mind on it. That was what I said. I don't want to put my mind on it. You know how things can be. You know how people can be as well, that they might actually tell you, but they are not really impressed. And not like I was doubting my performance. I actually knew that I did well, but that is not enough guarantee that I was going to get the scholarship. And that was in May, right? You remember? So May passed, I tried to move on, and then the waiting period began again, from May to June to July. It's at this point that I'll talk about my courses, the 3 courses I picked and the universities I picked, so that you understand better how I eventually got into the school I am in, and how getting the scholarship affected all of that decision and the process. Because where I am currently schooling is not even part of the 3 courses I picked. Okay, in the application I chose 3 schools. Then in my personal statement I spoke about the 3 schools, and I'm also going to tell you about how you can structure your personal statement in my next video, that it will cover your choices of schools and your courses. So I'm going to make a template of how you can put your personal statement together so that it can be solid enough or strong enough. The school where I'm studying now was not one of my choice of schools, my 3 choices of schools. Neither is the course that I'm studying now one of the courses I picked. So I'm just going to run you through how I navigated into where I am now, because I started from a totally different choice of school. During the application, you're expected to pick 3 schools and 3 courses. If you remember that in my first video, when I answered some PTDF questions that people asked me, if you have not watched that video, please go back and watch it. In that video, one of the questions that I was asked was if PTDF only sponsors STEM courses, that science related courses, and I answered that no, there are some other courses that they sponsor, because I am actually in the finance industry. So the courses are, however, limited. The non-STEM courses are limited. I also mentioned it in my first video, and the reason I went with my choice of school was because of my choice of course. Okay, so I was only looking out for schools that had my courses, because I was limited, given that most of the courses were STEM related, if you understand, energy, engineering, STEM courses. So I had just few schools that I could pick from that would suit my own choice of study. So that was what influenced my choices of school. So I had three choices. The first choice was energy systems and data analytics, and that's in University College London. That's my first choice. The second one is energy finance, and that's in the University of Dundee. And the third one is data analytics, and that's in University of Glasgow. So those were my three choices. And the reason why I picked data analytics was because aside that the only two courses that had energy finance and energy systems, they were the only two courses. So the third one was data analytics, which I felt was also, was close enough, right? So I picked that. So I was limited and I went with those. Another thing is I wasn't sure if I would be able to change, but at least these were courses I could cope with if finance wasn't going to be an option for me. I didn't apply to University College London and University of Dundee within the waiting period because I wasn't expecting that I would get the scholarship. Let's be very honest. I remember that the first time I knew that I was going to get a scholarship was a call from, let me just say, like an agent in my current school who had access to the PTDF record. So he knew that I was going to get a scholarship and he was just checking on people to be sure that they have gained admission. So when I got that call, I missed the call initially, but on the second trial, I was around. It was a UK number. I was surprised, so I picked the call and I was like, okay, I have news for you, but I want you to keep it secret because the announcement has not been made. So you have to promise that you keep it to yourself. I was like, okay, what's happening? And then it was like, you've been, chosen for the PTDF scholarship, but it's going to be announced later on. I just want to know whether you have secured admission. Guys, at that point, I was like, no, I haven't, to be honest. Application for University College London and University of Dundee had closed at that time. University of Glasgow was still open, but I had not secured admission. So I just told him, I don't have any admission. What can we work out together? I was like, okay, I'd have to send in all of my my documents, and then we can see how we can get you admission in Ife-Olaitan University. That's the school where I am. It was at that point when I got the call, I was like, okay, I'm going to revisit that application, complete it, and see if I have an option of getting into University of Glasgow. But I still told the agent that called me that I would like to proceed with Ife-Olaitan admission because I had not secured any admission at that time. I completed University of Glasgow admission. In fact, I picked another course just in case. I submitted two applications. I think one data analytics and data analytics and economics, something like that, because I really wanted to have more options. But guess what? I got a mail from University of Glasgow and they told me that they are full to capacity. They are full to capacity, so they will not be giving me the admission. That's how I wasn't able to secure admission from one of the three schools and three courses that I applied for. So the thing is, I didn't have any other option. I had to go with applying to the only option I had. So please and please, if you apply for scholarship, try as much as possible to also apply for the admissions early enough. That will actually help, because if you do not apply for the admissions at an early date, you might just end up like me, not securing any one of them because you're already late. Like I told you that the first two had closed and the last one was late. They were full to capacity, so I could not get it. So if you are applying for this year's scholarship, make sure that you also apply to your three choices of schools early enough. So that would help. I was just blessed and lucky to get that call, and then I was able to process my admission for Ife-Olaitan University, and I was also able to pick the course I wanted. So at that point, I also learned that I can change my course. So rather than working with all of those data analytics, energy systems, I just picked finance, which was what I really wanted to do. So that was how I ended up where I am currently studying and with the course I am currently studying. So that was how it all went. At that time, the formal announcement had not come. I was still waiting, and I even thought it was calm again. This mind that you're just like, until I see the real news, the email from the body itself, I can't believe it. Okay, but 2 weeks later, or less than 2 weeks, I got a mail, and here we are. It was a long one, and I think a whole lot happened after then, but that was how I got it. I don't even want to mention how I felt. It was just like a dream come true. It was unbelievable. It was surreal. So this is me advising you, don't give up. Even if you give up or you get demotivated at some point, just try and encourage yourself. Have people that would encourage you, have people that would cheer you, or have something that remind yourself of something that will make you to start, that will make you to continue, that will make you to keep pushing, because it won't be easy. Okay, it won't be easy. Everybody will get demotivated at some point, but please and please don't give up. Don't, because if I did not apply, remember the issues I had with applying. Remember the issue I had with, I almost didn't attend the interview because it was not in my state. I was like, I was counting the cost. I wasn't looking into the future. I was thinking that because I'd been getting rejections upon rejection, what if this is also one of the rejections? But you would never know the one that will work out. You will never know until you try. So please and please keep trying, keep applying, keep doing your best. If you get demotivated, get someone down or get something. Listen to something, listen to music, pray, read. A lot of things would get back your energy for you. So do that. And yeah, I don't know if I am to end here, but from that process onward, things began to happen so fast. So fast. I had to, the first thing was the induction. The induction was so surreal. Guys, it was really sorry. It was online, but it was like, no, this is unbelievable, because that was the first step showing that I had really gotten the scholarship. I couldn't believe it. It was, guys, I'm speechless. This is how you will feel when you eventually get your scholarship, or when you eventually get that thing you're looking for. It doesn't have to be a scholarship. It can be a business. It can be starting a project, or starting a book, or recording a music, whatever it is. This is how it will feel when it eventually comes to fulfillment. So please and please continue to push. And if you have any question from all of what I've explained, please reach out to me. Just go straight to the point. Send me a message on the comment section below. Come to my Instagram so that you can feel closer to me, so that you can be updated when I post new videos. Send me a DM on Instagram. I would post my handle somewhere around the screen. Ask people, if you feel that you don't want to talk to me, go on LinkedIn. Reach out to people that have achieved what you are looking out to achieve. Please do not spam them. Do not do not feel that they owe you anything, right? Do not feel that they owe you anything. Do not make them. Just ask politely and leave it to them to review as much information as they want to review. And if they don't, you can either move on to other people or work with the information you've gotten. So please and please be ready to do the work too. Do not reach out to people that have gotten a scholarship or achieved a milestone because you want them to do the work for you. Did you hear that? I'm going to say that again. Do not expect people that have gotten or achieved that milestone that you want to achieve. Do not expect them to do the work for you. Be ready to do the work. Do not be lazy. They will only guide you. They will only give you all the support you need. They will give you all the information, all the materials, but do not expect them to do the work for you. So be ready to do the work, and trust me, it will all work out. The reason why I'm asking you to ask as many questions as possible is in case I have missed anything. It's very possible that I miss out something, and you know that I have not answered your question. Please just ask me, and I would just respond to you directly, or I would respond to you in the comments where you ask, or if need be, I make another video. But make sure that in case I miss out anything, or if I did not answer your question, make sure that you reach out to me. Okay, but I've tried as much as possible to put out all the information you will need. So guys, those of you that want to apply for the PTDF scholarship in subsequent years, please apply. It's going to be worth it. Give it your best shot. Use the information I put out here. Ask questions. Reach out to other scholars. In fact, if you reach out to me and I know anyone that is here, maybe studying your course or that can answer your question, if I can't, I'll definitely connect you with them. So make sure that you ask questions and that you are ready to do the work. And then I'm sure it will work out. So if it's also other scholarships like maybe Shivnin or Queen Elizabeth scholarship, trust me, all of the tips I've shared will also one way or the other help you. Just reach out to people as well that have gotten to that scholarship and make sure that you find unique or specific information for that scholarship so that you can be prepared both for the application and the interview. And I'm sure you are on your way to securing your scholarship. Okay, so don't give up. All right. And at this point, I'll tell you to subscribe to my channel if you have not. My next video, I'm going to be talking about personal statement template, how you can put together a solid personal statement, then how your paragraphs should be shaped, and then yeah, that's going to be my next video. So please subscribe. If you like this video, if you enjoy watching it, please engage with me, comment, share, like. It will really mean a lot for my continuity. All right, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.